So from the emails going from the most recent to the oldest ones, I didn't really receive any yesterday after the webinar, so there's only the ones that we're looking at, and that was the first one was the Aussie Kiwi. Gentleman looked at this ring low here, thought that the price was overdone, and that's a fair call. It has broken through this resistance line and had retested it, and he's waiting for a bit of a pullback. There's now divergence there. I don't know if you guys can see that. You've got the divergence. Well, it should be more about up there, and in the momentum. So depending on what today's bar looks like and what your risk-reward ratio is, there's a potential to trade that pullback. You can see that it's certainly in the zone for selling, and then you just need to find what your risk-reward is. You're risking sort of, maybe 70 pips, and targets 140 pips. Whether or not it actually gets there is another thing. I'd prefer to not do that. I'd wait for the retest, as was suggested by this gentleman's email, around here somewhere, and then look to take it a bit longer. I'll take it from the long side. Our figures, the GDP figure yesterday was certainly pretty strong, and would suggest that our economy's starting to move out of the bottom of the cycle, whilst the New Zealand one is at its peak and probably due for a pullback. Similar to the pound, it's its data that's coming out recently has been towards the negative side as well. So that's a fair call. Then we're looking at the euro pound and the pound Swiss. Now these two trades are almost identical. What I was saying yesterday is I think trading off here, you got no resistance off the EMA. I think it's a little presumptuous to be getting into it that early. It's not there. Euro pound, right? Looking at this ring high, I think was a little presumptuous. It's better to come off the 50. The momentum is, it's in the sort of right area, but there's no real horizontal resistance there, and it's partly the way through phase 2. So I would not suggest to be looking at that. If you were trading the phase 2, you would have been getting out here for a minor profit and be happy with that. But I don't think this is a very strong entry, and it's quite a. I wouldn't be risking that much from an entry like that. Yeah, and your pound Swiss is the same trade, just upside down. Yes, it's coming off the 382, but that's a rather shallow. You want it to coming off the 50 or the 618. It's a lot stronger when it comes off the 50 or the 618. Again, this is quite a shallow phase 2. So getting them off the 50 EMA and the 50 fib is a lot stronger than coming off the 382. We can see this is the one that I'm waiting to get short on, and this is the area I'm looking to get short. I'm not looking to get short here, so I'm not going to be trading that. I'll be patient, wait for it to get up here where I've got a decent horizontal, the 50 fib and the 50 EMA all together, and it's just, you've got to be patient sometimes and wait for that rather than jump in and then just going sideways. And the pound Swiss, I think it still looks pretty much the same. Yeah. Okay. And your email suggested stopped out as these as they went the wrong way. I think I should have waited until the news was out on the currencies. Yeah, and also waited for a decent pullback as well. And also be aware that you're trading those are pretty much the same trades. Okay. New trade, this was from Tuesday, so a couple of days ago. Prices have made a double bottom. RSI is much stronger on the second bottom. Prices are also making higher highs and higher lows on the Swiss yen. Yeah, there's a lower low and a clear divergence there. That low is definitely lower, and whilst this is definitely higher. Yeah. Your risk reward on this is another issue. However, so you're looking at 90 pips for 90 pips 1-to-1, and you probably won't get away with it 1-to-1. Now that we've had a high test off this 50 EMA, I'd be looking at, is there a potential shorting opportunity? Obviously this wasn't the case on Tuesday, but that's what I'll be looking at now. So yeah, I remember the first time we looked at this back on this low test here, wasn't too happy about it because it wasn't such a strong support line here as compared to the euro yen. Your fib's okay. You might want to just get it back to that there. Yeah, and as I said, I think the risk reward on this one would have made you avoid it. And also, I don't think it's a very strong horizontal level. Okay. And this, are you doing a phase one, a trend continuation trade? If you're doing a trend continuation, your target's over here. Look, trend continuation, if you're doing trend continuation, you need retracement support. Okay, it says it right there, retracement support. You don't have retracement, these are extensions. Okay, if you're doing a phase two trade, then you need to be doing the using the phase two or trend reversal checklist. And that gives us, we need to have a horizontal support line and a strong one. We need to have divergence, not convergence. We need to have fib extensions, and we need to have price action. You've got the extensions, you don't have the horizontal support, you do have divergence. So you've got 3 out of 4 here. And so I wouldn't really be taking this, not to mention your risk reward. So be careful which checklist you're looking at, okay? You've got to understand, are you trading as a trend continuation, and you're saying here you're getting higher highs and higher lows. Well, sorry, that screen just went off. How can you be saying you're getting higher? What the hell's going on with this fucking technology? Pretty much over it. How can you be saying you're getting higher highs and higher lows in this? I don't see that. You're getting low. You've clearly sort of pointed out there lower lows. So I think there's a bit of work to be done here. You might want to get some, have a chat to your coach and find out, which checklist you should be looking at which point in time. Because that's just, wrong checklist. You've identified a trade, but you're applying the wrong checklist, and that's a bit of a concern. Okay. Well, thank you for that, mate. I appreciate that. It was a good day on Monday. So please compare the CAD Swiss and the Euro CAD setups. I know they are basically the same trade, correct? I know that you are bearish the Kiwi and that you don't think much of the yen, right? However, the Kiwi yen seems like a good setup, and the risk reward is huge, even if it only makes the next resistance level. So we're keen to have your comments, okay? Also know I've also made the modifications you suggest to my risk profile. Okay, cool. Right, so the CAD Swiss, reverse head and shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulder, yeah, neckline, yeah. This is the EuroCAD is the one that I'm looking at, but this is the similar trade, yes. You've got a bit of divergence here to bring this back down to the phase 2, back to the 50 EMA. This is, yeah, you've highlighted this target. It's broken through and it's on its way to retest the neckline. This line is made up with the EMA 50 target zone. Then it should retest the zone, and from a former long phase 1 trade. Yep, absolutely, mate. And trend reversal short trade, and the risk reward there is all right. Where's you've drawn your fib from there to get your 1.618. Okay, good spot. If you're wanting to trade phase 2, that's certainly you've ticked all the rules there for doing so. And hello, little puppy. Got a new puppy. Seems to be a new dog in the house every week. Yeah, so you could be trading this phase 2 if that's what you want to do. The EuroCAD, I didn't trade the phase 2, but I'm certainly trading for the new phase 1, which is what you're suggesting here, and I think that'll be a good opportunity. So coming to your EuroCAD analysis, similar thing. Here you got your neckline, absolutely. This trend line, I wouldn't have that in there. That's just confusing the situation. Seems to have bounced off the 2 nicely, yeah, with divergence, yes. That's around here that I'd be looking to get short, but that's certainly something that we're going to discuss. Shoulder, head, shoulder, yeah, breaking. Will it get back up there? Probably not. Sometimes the neckline isn't like actually tagged, so or the neckline could be a horizontal, but I'm certainly looking for a new phase 1 over here. Phase 2 will retest the trend line, and well as a previous swing low. Yeah. The CAD Swiss looks like it's going to is potentially, hitting that neckline in the 50 at a better time. Then the EuroCAD doesn't look like the 50 and the neckline are going to get anywhere near it. So, however, what's the risk reward in this? Risk reward is up. Yep, 1.27, and this one's 106. Okay, so risk reward on this is higher, so that it you'd go for this trade over the CAD Swiss purely for that reason only. I tend not to trade them both. I'd just go with the one personally. That's just the way I am though. I don't mind it if you want to split your risk across both, do 0.15 on both of them. But I'd just go with the stronger setup and the better risk reward. Is barely 1-to-1. Sorry, Carol, I'm not sure what you were referring to. What sort of puppy? Oh, mate, we've got 3 rescue dogs. My wife seems to find them on the street with quite scary regularity. Brings them home, we get the vet in, fix them up, and then they seem to stay. Yeah, so that's your 2. The next one was what? The Kiwi yen trade. You say the risk reward on this is huge. What's this? The weekly trade. Have you given me anything besides that? Look, I am bearish the yen, and I'm bearish the Kiwi as well. That certainly looks like it's staying on that. It's on that trend line. If that's from a weekly point of view, gives you an entry. What are you looking at? You're getting in around 90, 80, 88, let's call it, and what your target's about 93. maybe even more, probably up here somewhere, 94 or 5. So that's, yeah, in that sense it is a good risk reward. You could almost put this similar channel across these two tops here, and the potential of breaking through the inner channel and across the other side of it. That's all, with the yen weakness that could occur. Whilst I am bearish the Kiwi, I think they've peaked. With their interest rates as high as they are, there's going to be a limited downside. It's not going to get down to 72. It's not going to get back down to these levels, but it could come down to here in time to come. But with the interest rates at 3%, there's still going to be quite a lot of inflows into the Kiwi dollar. There is a major resistance here. If they start to falter and have to lower interest rates, well then, yeah, you're going to shit itself and back down here. However, in the meantime, you're looking at a trade that's well before they are cutting rates. The cutting rates not going to happen this year in the New Zealand, but it might happen sort of early next year, and that might bring that down, down to here. But in the meantime, the Kiwi rates are staying higher, which would give some support to it. So with that effect, I'd prefer to be short the Kiwi, but only from the highs, and it'll be more of a range-bound currency pair over the next couple of months is what I would suggest. So if it's going to be range-bound and tough to trade, but the yen is weakening all the time and all the same, well then, yeah, you're going to have opportunities of buying this pair and perhaps doing what you suggest, staying in this channel. There's nothing really exciting at this stage, though. More of a down channel. Every time it gets higher, it gets sold off. So you need to see a cycle above the 50 before you jump in on that. If you wanted to look for yen crosses, what currency would you prefer to pair with it, apart from the US, which has taken off? Well, if you're thinking the yen is going to be weaker, then you'll be looking at the pairs that are starting to gain momentum, such as the CAD yen. I'd wait for it to break out of this range and retest it. There's also that's weak. The South African rand's weak. The Turkish is weak. The Sing, well, maybe that might be getting stronger. The NOK, not really. Mexican, possibly. Yeah, it seems to be trending up. Aussie yen, maybe. We had a good GDP, but can we maintain that? I don't see that happening. Pound yen, another possibility, because it's still relatively strong, even though it's peaked on the cycle. So perhaps just the dollar yen at this stage is something that you should be looking at. We're still in that. There was a buy bar yesterday. I was looking at as a high test for most of the day until it sort of ran back up again overnight. It's now back here. Would you trade that? Would anyone trade that? What are you not seeing? This high here, it's not as high. I'd leave it alone until you break that high and get another higher high, but there is a cycle there. My concern in trading this is that the RSI has peaked and is coming off on the daily. I wouldn't necessarily be jumping into the hourly because of that. It's sure the hourly's oversold and there might be a bit of a bounce, but with the daily coming off its high, you'd suggest there's probably a little bit more of a pullback before you get some more buying in this. Okay, so that's the Kiwi yen. I hope that where did I move my stop last week? My stop was originally underneath this. It was 120 pip stop from my entry of 86, I believe. And so I halved my stop, so I halved my risk, moved it 60 pips below my entry, and that was 101.26. And when that bar came along, that's when I did that. When this lower high, lower low bar was formed, I moved my stop. We then got this low test bar, and the low of that was 42, so my stop was at 26. An inside bar, didn't worry about it. And we got a nice strong buyer bar, another buyer bar, and I've moved my stop. Another buyer bar, and I'm just waiting now to see what happens. So it was literally just half my risk. It wasn't a matter of going 13 pips underneath the bar. It just, well, I'll risk half of it and see how we go, or half my risk and see how we go. I also sent you an analysis for the Kiwi Yen on a daily chart. Could you look at it? Okay. I may not have opened that. This one? Okay. Yep. Right. So here's your target. Nice, 91.5. Even though that major trend is up here. Hidden divergence. Ooh. If you're going to use this trend line as your, I don't see why we're going from the 50, because you're not back at the 50. If you're saying, well, here's my cycle, right? I've made a higher high than the previous cycle off this trend line. So you're suggesting that the trend line is your is what it's bouncing from, and that's okay. You can do that, but then I wouldn't be looking at hidden divergence from that. I'd be looking at it from here, and that would suggest that there's possibly no hidden divergence. So it's you've got to be sort of consistent in your approach. If you're going off the 50, then you're looking at this entry here, which is the last time it was off its 50, and there was hidden divergence there as well, but I wouldn't be looking at that as hidden divergence. Okay. That's your risk, is this blue sort of area here, I presume. You've got your 6, so I can't see what that is, but you've got a Fibonacci there, and I presume that's a Fib support level, but I can't see what it is. It looks about 50% to me. And then you've drawn that, and you've got the 618 Fib cluster. Yep, 1.618. Okay. Wonder what that one would be, if that would give you one. Let's have a look. Where are you? Kiwi Yen. Okay. So you've drawn this Fib, yeah, and that's the 50. If you get it to that, and you get it to that. All right. And then we could draw, you've drawn this one here, yeah, and you got the 618, that's all good, but 50 didn't really get it. Okay, what I was suggesting is, what if you did that one there? You got the 1.272, I suppose. So coming back to your analysis, which is, where was it there? You've got cyclicity, higher highs, higher lows off trend line, horizontal support. Not really a strong one, is it? Unless there's further back. Bullish price action. Yeah. Finding support. RSI convergence. Fib cluster, trend line support, yeah. Hidden divergence, yeah, I'd as I said, I don't think that is hidden divergence, because you need to be going from, this is your cycle, so the divergence is from cycle to cycle, and this is where your cycle started from, was down here on the trend line. So you've got to look at it from that point of view. Okay. That makes sense? Okay. And your risk profile thing, let's have a look at that. Okay, yeah, so now you're calculating that you short this and along that, so then that'll calculate this CAD Swiss, your CAD yet, so you short 0.15 CAD and you short 0.25 CAD gives you 0.4. Perfect, yeah. I think that's a better sort of exposure idea. Kiwi yen, you long Kiwi, and that's it. And then you short yen. Yeah, good. That's exactly what I was talking about. Fabulous. Gives you a better idea of your exposure. And obviously, this will change, and it's a little, you're going to need to be a bit precise in your maths. Is like when you start trailing your stops up, you know, you can start moving this out, so, you know, it's risk-free. And let's say you halve your stop, so, you know, it's 0.85 or 0.75, 0.075, sorry, and so that'll change that. You know, if you're looking at going into something that's also got the CAD or Swiss in it. Yeah, but that's brilliant. Love it. Okay. Next email is from Pound Aussie. Okay, Pound Aussie. Right, this trend line, I don't think you can use that. You'll see much, you know, if you're going to go from that low, you've got to go to that low, and we haven't got the touch. So it's going across into here, you know, you're totally ignoring this, these lows just so you can get the touch. I don't think that makes that valid. Yes, you are getting higher highs and higher lows, but I wouldn't say you got trend line support, because you sort of fudged it a bit to make sure that that's there. Fib, yep, Fib's fine. If you're saying this is kind of the cyclicity, yeah, you're above the moving averages, yes. EMA support, by the time you get into the trade, you could argue yes. Luckily we didn't get into the trade. For this to go long, you want the Aussie to be weaker, and it's just going, Aussie's just going sideways at the moment. If you have a look at this, what you're really seeing is just, yes, you are getting higher highs, and yes, you are getting higher lows in the last cycle, but you're also just chopping either side of the 50. And I'd like to say that you're getting a bit of a wedge, but you can't, because you've got a higher high here. I'd prefer to be waiting and wait for it to, you know, make another higher high and get the support off the horizontal. Horizontals are a lot stronger to trade from than trend lines. And horizontal support, again, I think you just put the line there to suit the trade. I don't see a horizontal support around these levels. If we look at the weekly, You know, I'd be putting horizontals. Okay, there's one across there. Well, not really either. There's certainly one there. There's certainly one there. That's from that high and that low. If we go to the monthly, what do we get? Well, you might argue that that's across that one there might be one. Yeah, and so then we got that high back then, these lows, so I broke through it and retested it. But that's really not conducive to the trade that you're looking at, which is now sort of resistance. Plus the moving average, you know, over here the moving average is 81.20, and here it's, you know, 81.01. It's, you know, 20 pips difference in 3 months. That's, well, sorry, 2 months. You'd kind of say, well, that's pretty flat, isn't it? So I think it's, you know, this is a borderline trade. Looking for a trade when there's not, probably isn't one. Keep an eye on price action. Yeah, I'd like to see it break and, you know, set a higher high, come back and retest the 50, bounce off the 50 rather than falling through it and chopping either side of it. Yeah. And similarly, I'm not going to get short until you see a decent cycle underneath. Okay. Feedback. I would wonder if you could provide feedback on the trade I placed today. I normally would have waited for price action to retest the moving average, but notice the W bullish chart pattern formation and what looks like a strong horizontal support level at the neckline. Yep. Price seems to retest it. They've placed my stop loss beneath the ring low and target at twice the depth of the W as taught on the course. Cool. Also know that this pair got triggered in with the IG strategy yesterday. Okay. Still finding I'm shy of placing a trade with 1% risk. I'm only doing 0.5% or less. Well, that's good. You don't need to be risking 1%. As, I don't know if you guys have seen the newsletter or if it's even come out yet, but the best result for May was a guy who had, you know, 2 winning trades and risked 0.5%, but he got risk reward of two times. So, you know, he came out with about 2.5% return for the month. So you don't need to be risking 1%. Obviously, you had double done, and it would have been 4%, but, you know, it could have gone the other way, and he would have lost 2% as well. Normally, the price action cycle back to the EMAs and complete, but I've noticed the formation. Notice price action, yeah. Higher highs, higher lows. Horizontal support, bullish price action above the 200, above the 50. No, you're not. And no, yeah, not a requirement to have the support of the moving average, nor is it a requirement to have these. Okay, you haven't given them a 1. Right out, fair enough. RSI convergence. There's a bit of divergence here. And you say you haven't given it a point. Okay, good. Trendline support 1. Double bottom bullish chart patch. Okay. Let's see. You sent me this on Tuesday. The dollar Swiss. So you're still sitting in the trade. There's W you're looking at, and here's that's the neckline there. That's the neckline there, and this is obviously the bottom of it. So you're looking at 250, so 500 pips, all the way up there. You beauty. It's up here somewhere. Interesting. Yeah, there certainly is a support resistance around here somewhere. I don't know if this is, you could consider this a retest. It's certainly working it off. But to get up to there, it's going to be, a pretty long haul. You're not going to do it in, might be a month or so, maybe even more, for it to get up there, and you'll have a lot of swings and turns in the way. Yeah. I like your analysis. I like having a go at it. It's going to be tricky. I don't think you would have got in. I think you would have got in, but it's going to be a tricky one to trade. So keep me posted on that, and if you want a hand in sort of managing it in terms of moving stops and stuff, let me know. Okay. Please help review trades. For learning purposes, do you recall what he took? What trades he took for learning purposes? It'll be in the newsletter. I think he took the Euro Aussie short from memory. He took that short from here and traded that, got in underneath that low there and got out over here. So 2 times risk. And I can't remember what the other trade. He did 3 trades. One was he took the pound long and got out at break even. Took the pound long off here and got out at break even. And the Euro Aussie he made money on, and there was one other. I can't remember, but it'll be in the newsletter. Okay. What do we have here? Short Aussie dollar. When did you send me this? Monday morning. No cycle below the 50, just a entry on lower price action. Downtrend not really started as yet. Since this is not present, there is no fib. What do you think, Ree? There's strong resistance. I think you have no cycle underneath it, so you have no entry. If you sent me this on Monday, we haven't broken this low yet. Yeah. Yes, we haven't had we've failed to make a higher high, so that's the first indication the downtrend's broken, but we haven't broken this low yet. You need to see a cycle underneath this. This could easily re-engage in an uptrend and make a higher high. The fact that it's not running south is probably because of our higher interest rates, like the Kiwi, but you got the 50 EMA right on the 200. Hasn't been there since all the way back here. 2013, early 2013, yeah. This time, or 14 months ago. A bit of a battle I see here between what direction. Well, we discussed in the report yesterday. Norm has highlighted it by several articles to me, and not to mention there's a few other people who send me this sort of stuff as well. Is that the volatility is so low in currency trading at the moment. It's down 40%. It's hard to get a trend to go, and you can see that in the price action here for the last 2 weeks. Very little interest. It's been in a sort of 100-point range. I would not be looking to get short this at all. Not until we see a cycle underneath this and this low broken. Do I want to get long this? No, I don't want to get long it either. Not until it makes that higher high. So I'm staying well away from it. Euro, I want to short this, but only after the news tonight. And it's just going sideways at the moment. It has been, pretty much stark. Okay, it's quite a bit of a range. If you look at, 500 pip range, but you could easily see this back at 31, 32 in coming months, especially if they do what's necessary tonight. That's about the only thing I see that's a potential trend. Otherwise, everything's just bupkis. So downtrend not really started yet. No cycle below the 50. You've written something right there that should make you say, I don't want to trade this Aussie dollar. Going short there just because it's a ring high. And that brings me to another gentleman's email. He saw the same thing, forming a nice ring high, which should set up short, which is good for your buy of the dollar yen. Okay. Fundamentally, am I correct here with the correlation of Aussie going south, the yen going north? Well, the correlation is the US dollar. If the Aussie dollar is going down, then the US is getting stronger, and so yeah, you'd expect the dollar yen to rally because of the US dollar strength. That's the fundamental. So going back to this gentleman's email, doesn't say anything in it other than these questions here, and as you know, don't know if that's a strong resistance, but yeah, I wouldn't be getting short until you see the cycle underneath. Okay, short Euro Kiwi, cycle below the 50, cool. Retrace back to the last swing high resistance, right? 50 level retrace was got back to 100%. Okay, so when you can't use fib on your fib retracement, you can't use that, which you did not. Good, that's good. Weak resistance at 50 EMA. Weak as in WEEK or WEAK? Strong support. What do you think of this? I presume you're looking at this here. Where's your chart? It's the pound. You don't have a chart of the Euro Kiwi for me. Okay. The fact that he sent this on Monday would suggest that you're looking at it around here. Yeah. You have the 618 fib. You had a seller bar, lower high, lower low, but you don't get the entry. So yeah, luckily you didn't get that. Is it making lower highs, lower lows? Only just, but it is. And you could possibly even suggest that this bar finishes tomorrow, you could still be looking at this getting short because you're still getting lower highs and lower lows. Okay, you're not underneath the 50, but you're underneath the 200, and the 50's underneath the 200. You're coming off the sort of overbought territory. There might be an opportunity to get short this tomorrow morning on the daily time frame. But at this stage, no. Weak resistance or weekly resistance. Well, that's a resistance 63, 62, and you said something about 58, good support at 58. Yeah, probably is good support at 58, but if you're making lower lows, you'd expect that to be go through that. Yeah. I'll put something along there, which is what, 61.80. There's my horizontal two tops there. A bit of support there. So it was 2.5 highest in May. Yeah. Two 2.5% return was the highest in May. I think it was it might have been 2.2. Right, so pound, I saw lower highs, no swing high, wait for tomorrow at earliest. Well, this is the one that I was talking to you yesterday about. Bit of selling here might give us an opportunity. We've got the BOE out tonight. Not expected to do anything, but it's broken through this, what was resistance, then support, now resistance again, 50 EMA. not much of a cycle, but you could technically say that is a cycle. Do you want to sell it when it's already down at 35? Possibly not. You prefer to sell it when it's above 50 in your momentum. But I wouldn't be looking at starting this trade on the daily time frame anyway. I'd be going down time frames and seeing what sort of opportunities are there after tonight's BOE meeting. And therefore your risk reward is a little better than it would be with your momentum this low. So support 1.15 risk reward. Got 6. You're not below the 50 and the 200. You can't give that you're nowhere near below the 50 and 200. 200 is way down here. EMA resistance, yes, you could say that. Horizontal, yes. RSI convergence, yes. So it's not even 6, it's 5, because you're not below those. Right. Well, that's it for the day, guys. Next one is next week. I've got boot camp in Sydney. We've got fly down Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in the office, and fly back Friday, so there'll be no webinar next week. But you can hear me on the boot camp. Come and join the boot camps, and then throw some questions in there if you want. And I think the next one's obviously the week after that. So, and the week after that, you guys should have the schedule from Danielle. If not, obtain it from her or Vanessa. Otherwise, you guys be careful of the news tonight. Euro could be tricky. It seems to have priced a fair bit of it in. With this run down since he last spoke. That's when he spoke. Draghi spoke and said he might have to act, and has sold off, a couple hundred pips, 400 pips since he spoke, and so that seems to have priced quite a bit of it in. If he does what the market expects, then it may even rally from here. And if he doesn't do enough, then it certainly will rally from here. If he does what I hope he wants and goes deeper than what the market expects, then we should get a sell-off, which is what we're looking for. Other than that, you've got non-farms on tomorrow night, which is, don't think there's going to be much. All the data coming out of the US is pretty strong anyway, so you'd expect a good figure. And yeah, that's about it. So, shall see you at the boot camp or the following week back here online. Volcanic ash doesn't disrupt my flight. Hopefully the wind's blowing away by the time I fly on Sunday night. But yeah, I think Darwin caught most of it. Thanks. See you next week. Yep, good. Thanks for the reviews. See you next week in Sydney. No worries. Cheers, guys. This will be up online for you if you want to see it again in about an hour. Take care.